All right, good afternoon, or should I say good morning to everybody. Welcome. Everybody is most welcome to the first ever MasterCard and SME South Africa webinar collaboration. Hopefully, from this day, we would have many more collaborations to come. Okay, so I am on audio. Can everybody hear me? If you can please just give me a thumbs up in the comment section if you can hear me, if you can see me very well. We want to make sure that we do this as seamlessly as possible. I can see a lot of thumbs up, so thank you for that. So yes, like I was saying, this is the very first MasterCard and SME South Africa webinar collaboration. We want to make sure that we deliver exceptional quality, exceptional value to everybody that is on this broadcast right now. So please make sure that your sound is off. Please make sure that your camera is off if you aren't a panelist or a speaker in this webinar. This is just to ensure that we obviously make everything and we run everything smoothly. And as a way of introduction, my name is Gina Matonsela, and I am the Business Development Executive at SME South Africa. I am very honored to be able to host this webinar today. My job is quite simple, is to keep you informed about what's happening, introduce all of the speakers, but we have got absolutely amazing speakers today that are going to blow you away with information and practical takeaways for your business. So make sure that you are ready, whether you have a pen and paper in hand, just to take notes, and that you are ready to interact and as far as asking questions and making sure that you are, just keeping abreast with what's going on. So try to keep up with me. So in today's fast-paced world, digital innovation is transforming the way we do business. Small businesses that were once limited by resources, small businesses that didn't know how to scale, actually now have the power to reach global markets, right? Just by having a device in your hand. So basically now we can optimize, or we can actually operate our businesses in a larger scale globally, by engaging directly with the customers like never before. And this new age is driven by technology. Of course, we have our creativity. As a business owner, you know that creativity is important, but technology is literally at the forefront, and it knows no bounds. So in this webinar, we're going to explore how digital entrepreneurship is reshaping this landscape for small businesses. We're going to unlock endless opportunities for growth. We're going to talk about innovation, and hopefully we are also going to talk about business success in the form of case studies. And whether you are a seasoned entrepreneur or you're just starting out, this is really valuable for you to learn some of the actionable strategies that you need, some of the tools and even insights that will help you harness the power of the digital world and elevate your business to new heights. So a warm welcome once again. Very excited to be here. And I'm going to introduce my first speaker. His name is Rakgetsi Mukajane. He is the founder and CEO of Delivery Speed, a multi-award-winning entrepreneur at this point, and he's pioneering the South African online landscape in tutoring and logistics. He's the founder of Goody Tutors SA as well. So very excited to be able to have him join us for this chat. He is going to do a short presentation for us, and then right after that, we're going to get MasterCard as well to do a presentation for us. And then at the very end, we are going to have a panel discussion where you can ask questions and interact with the speakers as well. So, Rakgetsi, please take it away.
Thanks, Gina. Thanks, everyone. It's an honor for me to be here today. I'm looking forward to engaging with the panel as well as the participants, and obviously sharing more about our business and hopefully, get more insights from some of the panelists as well in how we can shape our business. Just to confirm, Gina, that you'll be sharing the presentation from your side.
Yes, certainly.
Just waiting for it to load. I'm really excited to share more about what we do at Delivery Speed, and looking forward to participating with everybody else on the panel. So we are Delivery Speed. We specialize in township deliveries, and by that we do them at low cost and obviously speed. and we share more about how we do that on the next slide. What we've realized when we started, just go to the next slide for me, please. Nope, that's not the next. Let's just go away. Yeah, that's the one, the problem. So we started delivering speed, and one of the main things that we realized is that in South Africa, the townships are mainly far from the main economic center. Due to the sins of our past, townships are set out in that way that, they're not as close as, we would like them to be to the main center. And the maps in townships are terrible. There's no accurate addresses. If there is an address and you try to put it on one of the apps that we use for maps, it just does not work, or it won't pull out the address, which makes it very difficult, right, for anyone to do deliveries in those areas. And that's why there would be a surcharge, in terms of delivering into townships by other delivery companies. And that's where we come in and we say it doesn't make sense, right, for that people in the township who are most of the time in the lower LSM have to pay more just to get deliveries from the e-commerce platforms, but also their deliveries take longer because they're in townships. And how we solve that is on the next slide. We've now prioritized our business to only focus on township deliveries. Nope, that's not the next slide. And we do that by specializing in township deliveries and basically aggregating all the orders that are going into townships from other courier companies to use us as the primary delivery partner into townships. Because again, our brand, it stands out with the community. The community can resonate with our brand because we hire locals. That means that we don't get as attacked, especially in terms of crime, because that's one of the elements that, other courier companies would say that it's really difficult to deliver into townships because of crime. And in our experience, because we hire locals, that has never been the case. We're able to navigate through these roads in the townships and exceptionally deliver fast speed. But also what we've done is to put collection points, around tuck shops or internet cafes or any small business that is in a township. That way, if the customer, is not home to receive their parcel, we just drop it by the nearest collection point. And when they get back home, they can literally walk to the collection point and deliver and collect the point. And this is something that, makes much more sense in townships than in urban areas. Because unlike in urban areas, in townships, you can't leave the order by the security because there's no security. You can't leave the order next door because you don't know who's next door and you don't know if you're going to get your parcel when you come back home. So collection points have become something that we believe, especially in e-commerce in South Africa, it's something that's really going to be a game changer. You could go to the next slide. And based on the how we do our business, we've been able to attract some good clients. So we now do SPA deliveries on the SPA to You app, very similar to Checker 6060. We do these orders in townships. And again, it's all about, getting a big brand, that wants to penetrate the township. Instead of bringing their own, delivery partners and all that, it's working with the people in the community, which for us as a business has some bit of lessons into it, because we've learned that, as long as you're good where you are, when someone wants to come into that environment, they have to work with the best person in that place. So that has really helped us to get, quite a lot of clients into townships. If you go into the next slide, you will see we also do distribution into townships. So most of the time when you are at a shop, either a popular shop, in a township, and they say they don't have this particular item or they're out of this item, it basically means it's a logistic problem, right? There's a truck that just couldn't come there on time. There's an order that was not made on time to get to that retail store, and that's basically distribution. So for the same reasons that, townships are far out, not only for e-commerce orders, but also for distribution, right? So stock takes longer to get to townships, which again doesn't make sense for a business like ours. And that's why we come in and, and solve that problem to make sure that even retail businesses, if you can go to the next slide, even retail businesses are able to get their stock, Speed, and these are some of the clients that we have. So we have Bidvest Waltons, where we supply all the banks with stationery, that's paper, that's printer, ink. If you go to a bank, a popular bank in a township, and they say they're out of paper, they can't print out your statement. That's a logistic problem. And we come in and make sure that they get their paper, they get their resources on time to ensure that they give their customers a brilliant service overall. So these are some of the businesses that we work with. We actually launched in 2021. And when we launched, we literally started as a food delivery app. Not even an app. We started as on WhatsApp because we really wanted to get to understand what the customers, want from us. And because we didn't have funding or anything like that, we started on a platform, that everybody in the township used, which was WhatsApp at the time. And within, 6 months, we'd already done over 1 million in terms of sales just on WhatsApp. But that meant that we needed to, innovate and automate most of our processes and systems. That's how we were able to get an app that helped us, with a payment gateway, with customer experience, and the business was able to scale to 4 provinces as we are today. But we also now had to make some few changes, right, to become more of a logistic business. And that's also after seeing how bad, it is to participate in townships, especially in logistics. There's no one single company in South Africa that prioritizes township deliveries. All the companies that are doing logistics, they see townships as a second option. And for us as Delivery Speed, we see logistics as a great, enabler for employment, mainly because of the fact that you don't need high skills, right, to hire a lot of people in this industry. So there's a big unemployment issue in townships, and we see logistics being one of the industries that can hire a lot of young people. And if you see on our next slide, only 6% of shopping that happens in South Africa is online, and that's a big gap. So that's my investors. We can go to the next one. Only 6% of shopping that happens in South Africa is only online, and that's at a 71 billion rand, and that was last year. It's estimated to go to 10% this year, and that's at 100 billion. So e-commerce is growing in South Africa, right? And we as entrepreneurs, especially the ones that are township-based, we need to take advantage of that. We need to be on the forefront, not only as consumers, but also as producers. There's so many young people in the townships who want to sell online, but because they are far from the city, if they request a pickup collection for their product, it's going to take longer, which will ultimately mean that their customers will not get their products much quicker. So we come in as Delivery Speed and we say, let's help all these young people, let's help all these small businesses that are based in townships and connect them to the rest of the world through our platforms. So that's us, that's Delivery Speed, and we're really looking forward to sharing more about our business and hearing from the panel in terms of how, safe we can grow our businesses online. Because as you grow businesses online, it's much easier to scale exponentially. But with scaling exponentially, that also presents a threat because of, all the transactions that happen online. So really excited to have MasterCard on the panel, and yeah, looking forward to the conversation.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Khudi. I hope everybody has a greater understanding of this phenomenal business. I'm sure in the next 20 years, we'll be right behind you looking what the progress is and obviously rooting for you from a just a leadership perspective. And then on to our next speaker, I'd like to introduce Tanya Kruger. She is from MasterCard. And if you don't already know who MasterCard is, they are the global leaders in payment solutions. They do everything from financing right up to right now. They have got an amazing it's called the Entrepreneur Odyssey, which is really a full encompassing resource platform for SMEs. You can go there to check out, things like, just how you benchmark against other businesses. You can interact with other entrepreneurs. You can get resources for your business. whether it's in marketing, in digital payments. And then, of course, once you've interacted with the brand, they also have the ability to actually, unlock some financing opportunities for you. So you can get funding, which, of course, is important when you are trying to grow a small business. So our next speaker is Tanya Kruger. She is from MasterCard, like I mentioned. She has over 20 years experience. Right now, she's the head of SME at MasterCard for the EEMEA region, and with over 20 years of experience in payments and product development. She also previously had roles of leadership at MasterCard and Nedbank. And of course, her big focus is on the digital enablement as well as emerging payments. And right now, Tanya also serves as an advisory board member for Women in Tech. Tanya, over to you.
Thank you, and thank you for having us. It's an honor to be here today, and we're looking really forward to share some of the insights and the work that we've been doing to inspire SMEs. Are you going to share your screen, please? Seems like it's coming up. Right, thank you. All right, so I don't want to spend too much time on the South African SME landscape, but I thought just to bring out a couple of points, and hopefully some of what I'm going to tell you today is going to resonate. So I'm not going to give you all the stats that's on here, but essentially South Africa is a very heavily carded market already. But what we do see is that, excuse me, even though 80% of people have access to financial services, from an SME perspective, a lot of SMEs don't have access to SME products specifically, and rather utilize their own personal products. And you guys will see as we continue in the session today why it's actually important to start thinking about having access to personal, to SME products, given the fact that we're really working really hard to get those benefits out there that can benefit you from a business perspective. And that is like 54% of people utilizing that. Very important call out as well is that 64% of people or SMEs or entrepreneurs pay their employees in cash today. And we know that cash is a big barrier. Goody talked about fraud, etc., etc. And I'll talk a little bit more about some of the solutions we have in place that could really take away that cash component, which is really cumbersome in the market. And then just lastly that I want to call out is that there's quite a big portion of SMEs in the market that utilizes digital financial services. But it's not everyone. And you guys will see as we progress in the session that that's not really the case. And that's what we're going to try and encourage you today. If you're not digitized yet, we're going to give you the tools, hopefully, and tips to get there. So just the last call out on the slide is that, there's not a proper count of SMEs in South Africa, but it's more or less accounted for about 2.4 million. If we can go to the next slide, please. Not this one, the previous one, yes. So Goody spoke about the township economy, and I think from a MasterCard perspective, we all know that from an informal segment perspective, it actually mirrors the formal segment, but it's really doesn't have all the right priorities and tools. So from a MasterCard perspective, we actually partnered with GG Alcock and Gasonomics, and they did extensive studies in the informal informal market. And we didn't just go to the top informal segments. We actually went into Gauteng and we did all the informal townships, the same for Natal and the same for Eastern Cape. And just from that studies, and just to give you guys an idea, just from a tabletop perspective, there are more than 500,000 of these guys present in these 3 provinces, which is huge. And they have a turnover of about 3,000 to 15,000 Rand a month. And again, I'm not going to read you all of these stats, but as an example, if we talk about takeaway and on-premise food, that's about 50,000 Rand, 50,000 SMEs, which accounts for about 90 billion South African rand per annum. So we'll give you access to these slides, but as you guys can see, there's a huge untapped opportunity. And I think Goody made the point around how do we get these guys to also become digitized and get access to the broader world. So if we can please go to the next slide. All right, so linking on to that, so I guess from an SME perspective, we talk about micro SMEs, then we've got small, medium enterprises, and really everyone most probably is on a different phase. So if we think about micros versus a small or medium enterprise, some people might not have access to digital services at all. Some might be entry level. Some might have good, access to digital tools. But what we do find is that about 51% of SMEs are utilizing digital services. But 56% of that 51% have indicated that everything is a little bit, let's call it all over the show. So today, if you've got access to a digital solution, you might have to have a digital banking here, and you've got accounting services there, payments from this perspective. So it's really not all in one place. And SMEs really want to have an integrated solution in terms of a one-stop shop, or let's call it almost like an SME in a box where you can apply for something and you've got all the services to access for yourself. So let's go, and maybe you guys can put in the comments if that's something that you experienced today. But let's go over to the next slide, and I've got some very exciting news. Oh, well, not this one, but I'll quickly talk about this one. So just linking to what I've just said, where, the solutions are all in different places. What we're trying to do from a MasterCard perspective, and this is not only in the South African context, but also, in the broader sense. So from a MasterCard perspective, we are really good capabilities that will enable real-time customer digital onboarding. And I'm not going to read you all the tools there, but customer onboarding, which is real-time, is really quite important. Then we've got, for example, our core products, and core products we need by the card issuing components, and debit cards, credit cards, prepaid cards, buy now, pay later solutions. Then we have the ability to, also bring in remittances, so domestic. Can you guys hear me okay? So we've got services that enables money send, for example, so cross-border, domestic P2P, payroll, all of that. Then obviously from an acceptance perspective, so this is where an SME have the ability to receive digital or funding, value-added services. So we don't only focus on payments, even though we are a payments company. We also really value that SMEs have other needs. And subsequently, we also bring in other components that's not payment specific that will help SMEs in that space. And then loyalty and merchant offers. And then we also really, really value partnerships, because we do acknowledge, even as a technology company, that we cannot be the be-all and end-all, and subsequently we partner with people that have capabilities that are important for SMEs, and we bring that all into the fold. If you can go to the next slide, please. So very exciting, and if you guys don't know which SME what you have to, and if you don't have one, you must listen to this. So from a MasterCard perspective, we have brought in a component that we call the Easy Savings Specials platform. And the website is there on the screen if you guys want to make a note. Go check in your wallet if you do have an SME MasterCard plastic, because this platform gives you access to 150 merchants and specific discounts. From logistics, travel, digital marketing, you name it, it's all on this platform. And if you have a MasterCard SME card, you will have access to this platform. And some of our savings is even up to 40%. If we can go to the next slide, please. So when you guys log into this platform, you can really just go to the South African web page. And what we've done from that perspective is we brought on specific local offers. And just to give you guys an idea of how great this platform is, until the 31st of December, as an example, if you have travel plans for your business and you frequent Qatar Airways, we actually have a special at the moment that we negotiated with Qatar Airways that will give you 10% discount on flights and give you 50,000 bonus Q rewards. So if you guys have this card, you plan to travel for work, please go and look at this offer as an example. But this is a fantastic platform, and it's MasterCard's way to give back to SMEs from a digital perspective. To the next slide, please. All right, so then from a MasterCard perspective, we also, again, like I've mentioned before, we've partnered with a company called Nuclei. So I spoke about the fact earlier on that you have to go into so many places to get access to the digital services. So what we've essentially done is we created a business subscription marketplace, and we again organized a lot of discounts. And this marketplace will give you access to all your subscriptions in one place. Not only will you have discounts, but you can manage all of your subscriptions. You can add, delete, extend it, you can cancel it, everything in one place. Just note that we've launched this in GCC and we're bringing it only to South Africa in Q1 next year. But please look out for this. This is really going to give you guys access to lots of savings and keeping all of your subscriptions in one place. I'm cognizant of time. So from a MasterCard perspective, and this is really a fantastic tool, and I would really appreciate if you guys can note this down. So we've got two different free platforms from an educational perspective. The first one is the Entrepreneur Odyssey. It's about an 11-hour self-paced learning journey, and it really can give you tips in terms of digital marketing, how to grow your business, how to set up your business, how to innovate, how to benchmark, everything on one platform. And it's, like I said, self-paced learning. You can select from the modules. And the second one, and I think Refiel will talk about this a bit later on today, is our MasterCard Trust Center. We all talk about digitization, but we're also cognizant of the fact that there's cybersecurity threats. So there's a platform that will give you access to tips, give you views around cybersecurity, how to set up yourself, but we'll talk a little bit more about that in the panel conversation. To the next slide. All right, this is also a great one. So digital readiness. So we created this digital scorecard. So if you're not sure where you are and how you benchmark from a digital perspective, MasterCard created this digital scorecard that could really give you a big sense in terms of what your gaps are, what you can improve on, how to benchmark, and really how to get there from a digital perspective. Again, this is a free digital agnostic tool that we've created to help you to determine where you are and how to go forward from a digital perspective. Then to the next slide, please. So very quickly, so I mentioned the fact that 64% of people pay their employees in cash today. So what we are working on from a MasterCard perspective is what we call almost our employee card concept, and it's linked to specific controls. So let's say you're a business owner and you have petty cash, or you have a driver or 2 drivers. This platform gives you the ability to issue virtual or physical cards to your employees that's linked to specific merchant category codes, that's linked to specific amounts or expiry dates. And this could really take away cash as we know it from a payroll perspective. If we can move to the next slide. And sorry, guys, I'm rushing a bit through it because I know we're a bit over time. So this is a very interesting concept, and we haven't launched this in South Africa, but I would love to understand from the audience whether this will resonate with you. So we've done this in quite a couple of markets, and the concept here, and you guys will acknowledge, is that access to credit is one of the biggest pain points that SMEs have, right? So And, you know, to get a loan from a bank, you need all these bank statements. You have to have bank statements in the first place. Banks are risk averse in terms of lending money to SMEs. So we created a different concept where we look at alternative data. So let's take a township example where an SME go to an FMCG to buy stock for his spaza shop as an example. In this scenario, what we've done, we created scorecards where we look at your spend data, albeit in cash, at that FMCG that's linked to the stock that's in your store. So it actually shows that you're good for the money because you've been paying it in cash. It's not on a bank statement, but you've been paying it in cash. And we created these scorecards to actually extend loans onto your, let's call it a virtual card or a debit card as an example, that will give you access to, you know, a loan for a specific period to buy more stock, as an example, for your store. So I would love to know if this is something that resonates, because it's something totally different. We are having quite a couple of conversations in the South African market around this, but it would be great to understand whether, you know, this is something that resonates with our audience. If we can go to the next slide. And I think we can skip this one because it talks about, you know, what we've done in the previous one. So also which is quite important and which really works well, is from an acceptance perspective, and that is QR. And I'm not sure if all of you guys are aware of, you know, how great QR is doing in the South African context. But essentially, if you go to any of your banking apps, you will have a scan to pay button to scan a QR code to pay for goods and services. So the concept that we have here is a QR pay by link concept, where we can put a QR code on your phone, so that's linked to your bank account, right, to accept payments. So someone can scan your QR code and pay for goods and services. And essentially, let's talk about, for example, a tabletop walker. Like we said, there are 500,000 of them. If they don't just want to accept cash, they could have access to this QR code. People can scan it and they can make the payment digitally. In the next slide, I'll give you an example of what we've done in Nigeria. We launched a QR code pay by link on an actual physical business debit card. And what this done is that any person with a camera on their phone can scan this QR code and they can pay with any card. Well, obviously a Visa, MasterCard, an interoperable card for this payment. So you can understand, if you in an industry where you've got tourism or whatever the case may be, anyone in the world can scan this QR code and pay for you on a digital fashion. And then I think this is our last slide coming up. So just to give you guys an example of what we've done with Standard Bank a couple of years back. So Standard Bank utilizes our simplified platform, which is linked to our gateway, which really gives SMEs the ability to set up your digital storefront. And then we've also, for example, we partnered with Google and with Standard Bank, and we, you know, provided SMEs who utilizes this platform with Google ads to the value of 500 Rand. So this just again shows as a testament of, you know, the commitment that MasterCard has from an SME perspective in the market. And I think that concludes the presentation, if I recall correctly. Thank you.
Yes, it does, Tanya. Yes, it does, Tanya. Let me switch. Thank you so much for the presentation. It was very, very insightful, at least for me, from an SME South Africa perspective, where we literally have a resource platform for SMEs where we try to actually show them, you know, various ways on how to basically cleverly do business. But I think the key takeaways here are that as a small business, you should be, you know, you need to develop an e-commerce platform if you don't have one already. I mean, it's great to sell your products and services in person, but I think definitely considering an e-commerce platform to sell your products and services, it just provides your business with that ability to reach more customers. And of course, if you offer digital payment options as well, it's important that customers are able to also conveniently pay you. You don't want a case where, I don't have cash, so I'm not going to do business with you. You want to be able to offer your customers, an online paying option where there will be a secure payment gateway, like MasterCard offers. And then as well, obviously, we need to make sure that we ensure our online security so that we can protect our customers' data and make sure that we prevent our businesses from cyber threats as well. So it's very, very insightful. Tanya, thank you so much. And speaking about those cyber and digital threats to our businesses, I'd like to welcome now our next speaker, who is going to be basically part of a panel discussion right now. Her name is Refilwe Matanda. She is the Manager of Products and Solutions, Cyber and Intelligence Lead for Southern Africa at MasterCard. She is literally the girl for the job when it comes to driving innovation in cybersecurity and fintech. She's got expertise in blockchain, in AI, as well as digital trust, and a proven track record of developing customer-centric solutions that foster collaboration and advance digital inclusivity across industries. So let's welcome Refilwe. And what's about to happen now, I'm going to actually hand over back to Khudiraghetsi so he can facilitate just a short panel discussion with Tanya and Refilwe as the respondents of this panel discussion. So if you are listening on and tuning into this webinar, don't forget to drop us a comment or a question that you have that you want to ask. The experts are here. You get to interact with them live today. So make sure that you drop your questions and comments in the comment section. And then as well, make sure that you follow the link. We have shared a couple of links on the chat about the Entrepreneur Odyssey, as well as the, just the MasterCard platforms that they have available as resource tools for entrepreneurs. So, Khudiraghetsi and the team, please take it away.
Cool. Thanks, Trina. Cool. See quite a lot of interactions in the chats. That's great, guys. Keep them coming. We're gonna have some really a practical conversation about, some of the solutions that MasterCard has for us, entrepreneurs. I think, we quite, are familiar with what MasterCard is. We know it as the guys who have the cards, but I think practically, for entrepreneurs on the ground, we really need to know more and more about the products that actually, MasterCard has for us that can offer us, to grow our businesses and trade in a way that, is efficient. As we know today, to start a business, you need to be online. You need to have a website. You need to have a payment gateway. You need to be able to accept payments online, and all those things that, are happening online need to be monitored and work with brands that, are familiar with the rest of the public, because we know very well with the scams that are going out there. Just yesterday, I got a, SMS to say I need to claim for my great-great-grandmother her pension money, and there's never been someone like that in our family. So my mom was like, nope, that's a scam. So we know there's a lot of those, and I think working with reputable companies such as MasterCard, it gives our customers confidence that our businesses are, legit. So just a quick question to the team, Tanya. I think this is something that a lot of entrepreneurs would want to know. And it's how can they obviously, seize the growth opportunities in an ever-changing world, right? So how can SMEs just seize these growth opportunities, because things are changing almost year in, year out? And from your perspective, from MasterCard, how do you think these businesses can seize these opportunities?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So really what we've seen from a MasterCard perspective is that technology can really be a game changer for SMEs because it offers transformative opportunities to overcome challenges. It streamlines operations, unlock growth in opportunities. So it's really important that they embrace digital tools like mobile payments, cloud-based platforms, digital invoices, and marketplaces, etc. That's quite important. So we also know, and we spoke about this a little bit, is that the consumer expectations are changing. So you also have to adapt to what in the way that consumers want to pay for goods and services, right? So it's important to adapt to different digital tools that enhances operational efficiencies, customer services and competitiveness. And from a MasterCard perspective, these advancements are not only to enable SMEs to compete effectively in the digital economy, but also to strengthen their role. So just to give you guys a view in terms of, sorry, I'm just trying to open my screen. So just to give you a view on some of the innovations that we brought forward from a MasterCard perspective of, for example, click to pay. You guys will be aware of contactless, tap payments, of payment gateway services, tokenization, just to mention a few. And I mentioned on a little bit earlier on is the way that we partner in the markets, just to bring on, the services that's not really payment specific necessarily. So just to call out a couple of them. So in the South African market, we've partnered with a company called Efficacy Payments, and through their platform and our MasterCard Send capability, we're enabling near real-time transactions, which is amazing, because one of the big issues SMEs face today is the fact that bank settlement takes long, right? So you want to have access to your funds really quick. Then you guys will be familiar with iKhokha's tap on phone, where anyone can, tap on your phone becomes your payment device. EFT Corp, I spoke about QR payments a little bit earlier on, that could enable you to, just really accept payments by, flashing a QR code. And then we've also recently collaborated with a company called Sava, that's going to offer cards, mobile wallets, etc. That's going to really boost the SME capabilities in the market.
Yeah. And I think in our business, we've had exposure to a company like EFT Corp. I think they rebranded, there was Ukeshe before.
Yeah.
And they have QR codes, which was such a brilliant concept, especially for us when we're working on an app where, a QR code shows up on the phone that you're ordering with. But because a QR code, in most cases, you need to take a picture. In this case, with EFT, you literally just click on the button there and it takes you to your banking app. And from your banking app, you're able to complete the transaction because you only have one phone. You don't have another phone to take a picture of the QR code. So that was actually something that is smart. And I think, again, for us as a business, us taking that innovation to the customers think it's us, and we'll take the credit, because it's great. So I think it's really beautiful to see how other industries, when they innovate, and us as entrepreneurs, we welcome that innovation. Overall, the customer has a brilliant service customer experience. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool. Rafila, I'm coming to you now. And I think with your question is more on, why is cybersecurity, a critical component in seizing these opportunities? And I think before you get onto that, what is cybersecurity, so that the participants can really understand what is cybersecurity, but also why is it a critical component for us?
Yeah. Thanks for the question, Hudi, and good afternoon or still good morning to everyone. I think, maybe sometimes we like to make certain things and words very complicated, but let's just really think about where we came from in terms of payments. We came from a bartering system. We came from exchanging goods with goods, then money, and then obviously as things sort of improved in terms of technology being the catalyst, we started to digitize, right? So if you think of your own physical security, you would go to a bank and deposit money, but right now you can do it in the comfort of your own home, right? The digital world has made us so interconnected with all these devices that now we have a both physical life and presence, and we also have a digital life. But I always say that with your physical, it's something that it's tangible, you can touch it. and you can control certain aspects, right? You can lock your car door, you can lock your house, you can ensure certain things, but your digital life becomes a little bit of a mystery, and be very giving with our information. I think it's quite important. And I think Tanya mentioned, and yourself as well, right? How technology has really connected people, right? So now you can actually transact through various cross-border and other parts of the world in terms of technology. But with that, obviously brings in some vulnerabilities into the ecosystem and our digital lives, because it's not something that we all understand and control. So yeah, and maybe just your second question in terms of the critical components and the opportunities, right? I think, especially on the continent, SMEs are the backbone of our economies. Rightfully mentioned, you used all the right words in terms of hiring locals, right? That gives a sense of pride, community upliftment, and whatever it is that you're building within the ecosystem, people take pride because they are part of that value chain, right? And obviously, you are creating employment, and other SMEs as well. They're creating employment, and we're bringing trust within the ecosystem. However, within MasterCard, again, we take, I think, such great pride that as much as we've done such digital transformation for people to be able to digitize their businesses, but there is obviously risk that is attached, right? It's things that you don't see. But yeah, we embrace things like, your new technology in terms of AI, your data analytics, to obviously support SMEs and tools. And I think one of the other things that Tanya mentioned, not just from a technology point of view, that as much as SMEs are the backbone of our economies, we tend to leave them behind, right? Every corporate is looking at the next biggest sort of ticket, right? So even when they do tools and technologies, they tend to be cumbersome. Right, we spoke a bit about things like Odyssey and the Trust Center. It's really around breaking that divide to say, you as an SME, you want to focus on what you're really, really good at, and you outsource a lot of the other work to other partners to actually increase the ecosystem, right? But there hasn't been a lot of technology or tools that are affordable, accessible to SMEs to be able to do this. If we look at things like cyber data insights from a MasterCard perspective, I mean, you can do the math, right? In terms of what is 2.5 quintillion bytes of information that's been generated. And if you go back in terms of the knowledge theory, knowledge will almost double from a human perspective every 100 years, right? Right now with AI and the amount of, just look at the apps that you probably have on your phone, how you exchange, whether it's messages, whether it's emails or anything that you put out there in terms of content, it's a lot of data, right? So we're almost kind of producing it, or we've reduced it less to about 13 months, and it'll just keep continuously growing. And this is what makes it very attractive from cyber attacks. If cyber crime was a country, it is probably the largest or the third largest economy in the world, because they're all over. They use the same tools that you and I use, but for nefarious reasons, right? And if we talk about information that gets breached, because we all sign up for certain goods and services using our email addresses, passwords. So what normally happens is that email addresses get compromised, and that's why you're seeing a lot of increases with regards to phishing, right? These are sophisticated scams where they lure you into clicking onto links, and before you know it, your information has been compromised and your accounts are compromised and your identity as well. So it's really around collaboration around technology and certain parties, and understanding what your digital posture looks like as an SME. And I think the other thing that probably SMEs take for granted is they're thinking, no, I'm too small for somebody to be looking for ransom, right? But you're not. You are part of a bigger value chain with corporates. And if they wanted to get to a bigger corporate, they could get to you, right? And we understand cyber attacks are devastating to any business. We're talking reputational risk, we're talking money that's being lost, and customers that would not necessarily trust you. And with the cyber attacks, a lot of businesses actually don't make it to the fore.
Yeah. And I mean, how I think of it, how we wake up every day as entrepreneurs and work in our businesses, there's literally, people who are also working to just get into, our businesses illegally, through cyber attacks and all that, because people are working every day just to try to find that loophole into our businesses and try to, especially now in December when there's a lot of activity, we really need to be careful and protect ourselves. So I just want to ask, even if it's just one, product or one solution that, the entrepreneurs can literally go onto the website and find to protect our businesses, a product that MasterCard offers that entrepreneurs can take advantage of to protect their businesses.
Yeah, 100%, Huri. And I think the most important thing is to really understand where you are at this current moment, right?
Yeah.
We've got all these digital tools. You've got a beautiful e-commerce site, but do you understand what your potential exposure is? Because like you said, cyber criminals are opportunists, right? They'll look for the weakest link. So the very same things where we would look at the your internet facing systems in terms of how you patch, how often do you actually, if you've got, I know updates and upgrades of certain systems are quite annoying, but they're very important because a lot of them actually introduce a lot more secure features, right? So it's really understanding what your cyber risk posture looks like and understanding where your vulnerabilities lie so that you can start fixing, right? We understand IT systems and software could potentially be expensive. However, if you understand what your posture looks like, and especially with the assets that are very critical to your business in terms of information of customers, you're able to actually mitigate and rectify, and actually make sure that you are cyber sort of protected. And again, we mentioned things like your trust center. It's important. Cyber is everybody's problem, right? As an employee, as a community member, as a family member, as a friend, we all kind of get impacted. All those WhatsApp notifications that we send to everybody and people are clicking links. So we all need to be responsible around what it is that we do share with people, especially because we use our devices. So it's very, very, very important that you pay attention to certain things because people do go out of their way to do legit business, but in looking for a cash out, right? So it's easy to click on links, and before you know it, you literally are locked out of your system. But just understand cybersecurity and what your exposure could potentially be as an individual and as a business owner. We tend to cross-reference our tools. Your bank account is your personal and your business, or your email address. You use it for all of those things, and having all of that information being exposed into the dark web is really detrimental to businesses.
Yeah, cool. No, thank you so much for that. I'm also cognizant of time, so I need to come back to you, Tanya. Look, I think from the stats that you shared about small businesses, it's clear to see that these are the one industry that can hire a lot of people. We're sitting at what, 35% of youth unemployment in South Africa, and majority of that is in townships. We as Delivered Speed obviously see e-commerce and logistics as a way to absorb those young people. But again, with absorbing those people, companies, more SMEs need the support of companies like MasterCard. So I just wanted to hear from your side, what does MasterCard see, in the future in terms of the growth of SMEs in South Africa? And how will you guys, help to grow this drive, for opportunities, especially for SMEs in South Africa?
Yeah, I think from a MasterCard perspective, we really, really value long-term growth from a SME perspective. And subsequently, why we're trying to bring in comprehensive ecosystems for SMEs. It's really important that we provide reliable and innovative and trusted solutions. And we do that, like I said before, in terms of, partnering with banks, partnering with different players in the market, fintechs and the likes. So really from a MasterCard perspective, it's very important for us that our advanced technology, our resources and our community networks is communicated out to the SMEs out in the South African market. And we really want to continue to provide these ecosystems, networking and community platforms. So, and again, partnering with the right people in the South African economy to ensure that we have the right support and tools needed for innovation and thrive in the SME economy from a South African perspective.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's quite, great to know as entrepreneurs that, there is support from companies like MasterCard, right, to make sure that SMEs in South Africa, succeed. Because with SMEs succeeding, that it overall does well for the economy, because that's a lot of young people that are going to be employed. And with that, there's a lot of participation in the economy and overall. I mean, we had what 0.9 contraction in our GDP that was released few days ago, and we believe that if the young people can participate, in this economy, we can get back to our winning ways of growth. And when the economy grows, everybody wins. Which is what
Absolutely. That's our motto.
Yep.
Everyone wins.
Hello. Yes, I am here. Sure, it's been quite an informative discussion. I'm too excited. Like, I'm just so sad that we've run out of time. But I wanted to be able to ask maybe just one or two questions, just so that we can get answers from our panel of experts. One of the questions that I saw coming through on the chat was, can a business be too small to incorporate cybersecurity within its operations?
No, not at all. As I mentioned earlier, cybersecurity is everybody's problem, including yourself as an individual, right? So things that could potentially be compromise your ID, right? Where people can actually steal your identity and start taking credit on your name. That is a devastating thing to ever have to be faced by anybody else, for you to prove that it was not you who actually did those transactions, right? So no, it isn't. But there's tools where you can understand. I mean, we're not expecting SMEs to now be experts and hire CISOs but there are tools, like we said, things like the Trust Center, just understand your exposure from a digital perspective as a business and as an individual, for you to be able to take care. But no, you need to include cyber in your daily lives with everything, because that's where we're living, right? In the digital world, where we don't necessarily even understand a lot of the risks that we are embarking on in terms of information.
That's a great one, actually. Another one that I'm seeing here, which I think we can answer, is how is MasterCard actually getting these services accessible for the rural areas?
You're mute, Tanya.
Tanya? Yeah, I think Tanya.
Apologies.
One?
Yeah, so from a MasterCard perspective, we do this via a couple of ways. So firstly, the banks are obviously our partners, right? So if you think about it, MasterCard doesn't issue a card, the bank issue a card. If you want to sign up for acceptance, you do that via a bank. So essentially, even though we do go into the informal economy to talk to SMEs and we do promotions, we do the research, etc., our platforms are really around partnering with the likes of the banks, partnering with fintechs, partnering with FMCGs. So really for us, it's more a B2B2C enabler. But again, we'd like to get more news from or feedback from SMEs in those markets. But essentially, if you want to get hold of our platforms, you can do that via predominantly your banks and other players like iKhokha, etc., that I've mentioned before.
Amazing. Okay, so we're going to wrap it up with one last question just before I let you go. This one is for Khudi Rakhetsi. Somebody's actually asking, as a logistics company focusing on the townships, B2C, do you build internal tools such as ERP or inventory management software, or do you use established software solutions like SAP?
I think it depends, right? It depends on what type of deliveries we're making. What we've known for a fact is that we just cannot operate as a logistic business without the technology. I think, we've recently just implemented a tool for route optimization, meaning that, the driver doesn't have to figure out where to start and where to finish. They literally get that on their app. And if they have 20 deliveries for the day that they need to drop off, that platform is able to set up that route for them. So all they have to do is just click next and it shows them what's the next order. But that calculates, the time it's going to take for them to wrap up for the day, the distance, the shortest distance that it's going to take for them to do those 20 deliveries. So I think as a logistic company, we are looking at, okay, for courier, this is the type of platform that we need to use. For distribution, this is what we have to use. For last mile, which is pretty much what we do with SPAR, there's a different platform that we use. So yes, you have to be using some platforms to be able to be efficient, because in this day and age, you can't be doing deliveries on paper. It's just not practical.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Khuridagetsi. Thank you so much, Tanya, and thank you so much, Refilio. All of your insights and advice have been very valuable in this conversation, and I'm super, super excited to be able to actually continue this conversation offline. So let's do that. Tanya, Khuridagetsi, and Refilio are all available on LinkedIn if you want to connect with them, ask them further questions. But another great resource tools are the two that we've shared on this chat. So please make sure that you do interact with MasterCard, follow them on their social media platforms, because in the next couple of weeks and months, they are going to be rolling out some exciting new features for SMEs that are really going to bring a competitive edge to small businesses. So make sure that you are following them on social media platforms. And then, of course, follow SME South Africa as well. And make sure that you tune into our SME forum, where you can also ask your live questions there and pose any sort of business question, even if it's not digital related, but you can really ask any question there, and our experts on that forum can be able to answer your questions in real time. Yeah, I think this brings us to the very, very end, but I don't want to leave without actually putting up this poll. So there's a quick poll that you can fill in. This is just to help us understand where you are as a business owner, how the different digital platforms are assisting you. So just before you click off, just make sure you just fill in that little quick poll that we have for you there, and interact with us off of social media. But from us to you, thank you so much to our panelists. You've been a great sports, and we hope to actually do this again. It's been really informative and really great for us as we wrap up the year to actually talk about this digital world that we're so engulfed in. But thank you so much.